Hello, Spoiled Vision movie recaps here. Today, I'll delve into an American monster film known as The Sand. Spoilers incoming. Be cautious and stay vigilant. The story kicks off with a group of young people having a lively beach party. A camera person captures their dance moves, romantic moments, and overall revelry. A fellow named Mitch enforces a phone-bagging rule to prevent any online exposure of their wild night. Then, two individuals, Vance and Gilbert, introduce a peculiar gooey substance they discovered in the water. While it disgusts everyone, it doesn't raise much concern. The scene shifts abruptly to the next morning, with everyone asleep. Kaylee is with Mitch, while Chanda, Jonah, Ronnie, and Vance are in a nearby car. Kaylee awakens first and spots a struggling bird on the beach, sinking into the sand suddenly. Shocked, she tries to warn against stepping on the sand. But as she turns around, she witnesses Marcia, who had been lying naked on a bench, leaping onto the sand. Her feet get trapped, and she's immobilized. The group is puzzled, and Vance rushes out to assist her, ignoring Kaylee's warnings. He too becomes ensnared by the sand before reaching Marcia, who has completely vanished into it. Vance screams in agony, pleading with his girlfriend Ronnie for help. As Vance tries to lift his head, his skin and eye are gruesomely pulled out. A horrified Ronnie screams his name as he's consumed by the sand. The group attempts to fathom this bizarre occurrence. They realize their phones are inaccessible in the car's trunk when they attempt to call for help. Jonah's efforts to start the car are thwarted by a dead battery. They are utterly stranded on the beach. Kaylee, curious, approaches the sand and observes white strands attempting to reach her from beneath. Mitch, too, is astonished. Meanwhile, Gilbert awakens, confined inside a trash can, and curses his friends for their antics after he blacked out that fateful night. They caution Gilbert not to move, and he complies upon learning of Marcia and Vance's fate. Mitch and Kaylee step away, while Jonah looks on with jealousy. Although Kaylee and Jonah were previously involved, Kaylee is now hurt by Jonah's relationship with Chanda. Chanda consoles Jonah, suggesting that Kaylee has found someone new. Hours pass with no rescue in sight. Kaylee discovers sunscreen and shares it with those outside. Gilbert is on the verge of passing out due to the scorching heat. Kaylee begins to brainstorm how this inexplicable predicament occurred. They eventually realize that all the other partygoers have suffered the same fate, sucked into the sand. Kaylee notices the gooey ball from the previous night near the water, now hatched. They deduce that it was an egg belonging to a sand-dwelling creature that feeds on people. Given its recent hatching, the creature must be relatively small and have a distinct shape. Kaylee devises a plan to determine its size by tossing sausages around the beach. Gilbert witnesses a bird being engulfed by the sand, finally grasping the gravity of their situation and the veracity of their friend's claims. The others protest against tossing sausages around, arguing that it's their only source of sustenance. However, Kaylee persists. The final sausage avoids sinking, prompting a glimmer of hope, but they still can't reach the untouched sand. Jonah takes action, retrieving two surfboards from the car's back. He places one on the sand and gingerly steps onto it, to everyone's relief as he remains afloat. Jonah then moves towards a nearby bench, but just as he's about to step on it, the surfboard shifts on its own, almost causing him to fall. A string from beneath the sand enters his abdomen, but he manages to save himself, albeit with a painful stomach injury. On the bench, Jonah discovers a bag filled with food supplies. Accidentally dropping a banana that remains unswallowed by the sand, he realizes that it landed where they had lit a bonfire the previous night. It appears that the creature avoids fire or ash. As he stands, his stomach wounds worsen, pus oozing from them. Distressed, Kaylee comforts him, urging him to inspect the bag. He distributes sodas and water he found to everyone while still in pain, his wounds deteriorating rapidly. Jonah attempts to pass a can to Mitch, but his stomach abscesses start to rupture, causing him to cry out in agony as he lies on the bench. The surfboards on the ground continue to move, indicating the creature's growth and development. Kaylee notices strings attaching to the car's tires, attempting to pull it. They have limited time before the creature becomes large enough to engulf the entire vehicle. Chanda and Ronnie make an effort to retrieve the phones from the trunk. Ronnie asks Chanda to deliver a letter she wrote in her diary to her mother in case she doesn't survive, then steps onto the hood. She's about to open the trunk when Kaylee intervenes, warning that it will swing open and trap her in the sand. Kaylee hands them a rescue hook for Ronnie to hold onto, and she finally manages to unlock the trunk. At that moment, a car arrives at the beach and honks at the group, startling Ronnie and causing her to accidentally close the trunk, trapping her fingers and causing her pain. Mitch and Kaylee implore the car's driver for assistance. Inside the car is a beach patrol officer who assumes the group is under the influence of drugs and doesn't take them seriously. Despite Kaylee's pleas for him to stay inside his vehicle, he steps out. To the group's amazement, he walks freely on the beach. A close-up reveals that the strings cannot attach to his shoes. The officer approaches Jonah, disgusted by his wounds, and dismisses his pleas for help, still believing the group is intoxicated. He converses with Kaylee, insulting her and Mitch as reckless teenagers. He demands that Kaylee exit the car and becomes angry when she refuses. He threatens to use pepper spray on them but accidentally drops his keys in the sand while reaching for it. As he attempts to retrieve them, he becomes stuck, finally realizing the group wasn't lying but unable to do anything. Kaylee suggests using the pepper spray on the strings ensnaring him. The spray works, allowing him to free his hand, but half of his arm is lost. He screams in agony as the strings pull him down again. After the officer is completely engulfed by the sand, Kaylee retrieves the dropped pepper spray. Now, Mitch devises a plan to fashion sandals and wrap towels around his feet, aiming to sprint through the sand to reach the officer's car. He believes that since the officer's shoes resisted the creature, the sandals would do the same. Chanda tosses the towel to Mitch, but the railing breaks when he tries to catch it. Mitch falls onto the sand and meets a gruesome end, devoured by the creature. Kaylee has had enough of the creature. She observes the fallen railing on the ground and gets an idea. She breaks a part of the railing again, handing it to Chanda, planning to use it as a bridge later. Kaylee then climbs onto the deck and successfully leaps onto the car. Upon landing, Kaylee unexpectedly punches Chanda in the face for her involvement with her boyfriend. Chanda doesn't protest, and the two assist Ronnie in freeing her trapped fingers from the trunk. Jonah, who has been on the bench throughout, confesses his love for Kaylee. Kaylee shares her plan, intending to use the railing as a bridge to reach Jonah first and then transport everyone to the officer's car. Chanda retrieves the railing and places it cautiously on the sand. She reaches Jonah safely, with Kaylee following suit. The three make it to the bench without incident, but as Ronnie approaches, the strings attach to her injured hand, causing her to fall. Kaylee attempts to rescue her with pepper spray, but it only provides a momentary reprieve. The creature seizes Ronnie and drags her into the sand. Chanda wraps her feet with a towel and a bag, sprinting toward the car. She manages to get on the hood before the strings can ensnare her. Gilbert cheers, but soon after, his trash can begins to shake. His body is sliced by the trash can's edge, attracting the creature's attention. The girls implore him to hold on, but the creature infiltrates the bin, clutching his legs. Gilbert begins to vomit blood, and several large appendages pull him underground. These limbs subsequently shake the car, causing Chanda to fall onto the hood. She loses consciousness as Kaylee desperately urges her to wake up. Several hours pass, and night falls. Chanda regains consciousness. Kaylee remains at the bench with the injured Jonah. Chanda finds a raft on top of the officer's car and uses it to reach the bench. The three successfully make it onto the raft and then into the car. Chanda and Jonah occupy the car, but before Kaylee can join them, a colossal glowing tentacle attacks her. The creature has reached its full size. Kaylee finds a gas can on top of the car and uses it to set the tentacle ablaze before entering the vehicle. Silence descends as Kaylee and Chanda realize that Jonah has succumbed to his injuries. The two embrace and weep, mourning the loss of their friends. The following morning, a man knocks on the car's windows, rousing the girls. They observe that the creature has vanished, and they can now traverse the sand. Traumatized, they walk together across the sand as the man calls for an ambulance. In a closing shot, the creature, revealed as an enormous jellyfish, is spotted in the water, heading toward Santa Monica Pier. That was likely the most harrowing game of The Floor is Lava they've ever played. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notification for more movie recaps.